So, Roofman is based on the unbelievable true story of Jeffrey Manchester, played by Channing Tatum, an Army veteran and a struggling father who is, at the beginning of the film, robbing a local McDonald's in his Midwest town. He is breaking in through the roof of the McDonald's with a hammer at night, hiding inside of the McDonald's, and then when the staff comes in the morning, he very kindly, very charmingly, while wearing a mask and holding a weapon, invites them all into the cold freezer. He robs the place blind and leaves, and the cops show up and let them out. Everybody says he's such a nice guy. He ends up robbing like 45 something McDonald's before eventually effectively getting caught. Upon going to jail, Jeffrey escapes. He escapes jail and then manages to hide and hole up in a Toys R Us by living in the rafters and in a kind of small display. During the hours of open, while everybody's there, he is hiding and sleeping. And then when it closes, he is walking around. He's taking control of the security cameras. He's eating the candy, and he's wearing goofy clothes from inside the store because that's where he's at. He's hiding out for just a little while one of his buddies, one of his old Army friends, played Lakeith Stanfield, can make passports, a fake passport, and get him to another part of the country or out of the country entirely, and he can escape and get out of here, right? But while watching security cameras and hiding, he kind of gets to know this employee, Lee, played by Kirsten Dunst, who is a single mom with just a couple of kids who's struggling to connect with her manager there. And upon hearing that she's doing a toy drive at a local church, Jeffrey decides to break out effectively, leave the Toys R Us, take a bunch of stolen toys there. He ends up meeting her. They strike up and have a conversation. This develops into a relationship. And then suddenly, Jeffrey is living two lives, right? He is a man who is kind of getting to know Lee and meeting her kids. And then also this guy who is very much on the run and has a whole lot of baggage and is a wanted criminal. The movie is Roofman. It's just a couple hours long. And I'm really pleased to say that I think I liked it more than I had heard. I remember early festival impressions were not very nice. People thought this was bland and doesn't really work. And I think it works, but it's got kind of a crucial problem at the center of it that I'm looking forward to talking about. Andy, what did you think of Roofman?
So I like parts of it. Some of this works, and then some of it does. I think the first half is the most fun. We see Jeff Katzenberg, Channing Tatum's character, robbing the McDonald's. He's known as being this really nice guy. Like, he gives his coat to the McDonald's guy when he puts him in the freezer, so he's not cold. And he ends up breaking into this McDonald's, and we get this very almost Ocean's 11-esque escape from the prison, and then how he holds up in the McDonald's and kind of stows away for months on end, and then eventually meets Kirsten Dunst's character, joins this church, becomes a father figure, all while still maintaining his cover. And he kind of has a plan to get out. The second half really kind of drags for me. It's a little bit too long. It meanders. And then kind of the messaging of this film is just all over the place, because it asks us to sympathize with someone who's very clearly a criminal and essentially engaging in very violent crime, but he still wants us to be like, oh, but he's a nice guy. Like, kind of feel for him. It's a strange mix of what are we supposed to feel?
Yeah, Tatum is good, and Kirsten Dunst is really good in this movie, actually. It's got a decent supporting cast around it. Peter Dinklage plays a manager at the Toys R Us. Lakeith Stanfield is the Army friend. Juno Temple is the Army friend's girlfriend, who's barely in the movie. Ben Mendelsohn is in here as a local pastor, and all of these are based on very real influences, right? This is based on a true story film. The movie ends with the text at the end that tells you what happened. You get some footage in the credits of real people that were involved, which is all very sincere and neat, because it seems to be sincerely saying that this guy is not really a bad guy. I think they're trying to frame it a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Catch Me If You Can, right? Like Frank Abagnale Jr., who's kind of a good dude, and he's smart. He's just kind of ended up in this bad situation. But Roofman also, in a very complicated fashion, I think is more about evading consequences, right? And how when you run away from a problem, you just make more problems. And it doesn't matter how much you try to evade and avoid losing everything. When you escape responsibility, you lose so much. And that's opening in the film, right? Like our first act, Jeffrey is robbing McDonald's and he's building a life for his family, which he has. I left that out of the summary in the open, but he has a family at the beginning of this movie. He has 2 or 3 children, one daughter who he kind of connects with very specifically, and a wife who he does not really get along with. She's painted very poorly in this film. And when they're at a birthday party for the daughter, like, and the cops come bursting in, like a scene out of, I don't know, Blow or something, like, and he goes running down the street. It's very funny and looks very goofy. But he very much like has a real family and a real daughter that he abandons in Act 1. Like he gives up on them. Like he goes to have a relationship with them and it doesn't really work. He gets replaced by this other kind of father figure who you never really see. Then he gets to Toys R Us, and that's when the movie kind of settles into its place, and we figure out where we're at. And walking around Toys R Us is a lot of fun, but then he starts creeping on Lee and these other people there, and then he strikes up a relationship with her and gives a fake name and lies about who he is and lies about what he's doing there. And it's kind of gross, and you're like, okay, hold on, wait a second. This is not a good man. Like this guy is not a good guy, and the movie seems very pointed at drawing him as a good guy. And that I think is kind of the fatal flaw.
Right. It's like the family, his first family, like his wife is portrayed as this nagging person, and they got a stepdad that's moving in and moving into the family. And who is that man? Again, the family is kind of painted as the bad guys, and I was like, this is a terrible person. He did a really interesting thing by escaping prison multiple times, living out of this Toys R Us, and it shows one of the things, he was very intelligent, but he was also a moron. Like he knew to shut off the CCTV cameras, so like Toys R Us was never recording, and so they never got any footage of him for the longest time. That's how he was able to evade. He's able to utilize like he steals from Toys R Us and then pawns all these video games, and that's how he gets cash, and then he can actually afford real things. But it's like these are all terrible things. Like, why are we painting this person as you can have an anti-hero, like you could still have him be the main character, but again, the film strangely wants us to sympathize with them, and I really don't think we should be.
Yeah, and this is why I think Act 2 is where the film hits the brakes and can't get back up off its feet, because as he's developing this relationship, he goes to this church. He meets Ben Mendelsohn, who's the pastor there, who's like singing, dancing, Southern pastor, British Ben Mendelsohn. Very strange. I guess him and Derek Cianfrance must be cool. And he gets to know Lee, and they start a relationship. He like goes to meet her kids. There, he teaches one of them how to drive. They have sex, and I'm just like, she doesn't know who he is. Like, this is not good. This is gross and bad. Like, this is bad. And so the whole time you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. This all has to come crashing down the whole time. And so, yeah, there's about a 45-minute stretch of the movie where you're kind of just checking your watch. You're like, hey, when is this all going to resolve? When is this primary conflict? Is he going to get back to his family? Is he going to make up with the daughter? Is any of that going to happen? And like, I guess that can make for tension, but you're also just waiting for it to happen. And the character's waiting too. He ends up waiting nearly 6 months for his passport friend to come back from a stint in Iraq. He redeploys. So he ends up like just checking the calendar, just scratching off days over and over and again. And that's where in the movie is like, okay, all right, we get it. Let's move it along. Bit of a pacing issue that way.
Yeah, I think somewhere that the movie, I think, does succeed is in its performances. Channing Tatum is good as this like charming con man. Kirsten Dunst doing some great work. There's some Oscar talk for supporting actress for her for this film. There's also a number of fun cameos that just pop out of nowhere. Again, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple. Now I can't think of it. Ben Mendelsohn as a church pastor. Lakeith Stanfield, always a pleasure on screen. Is always doing the best work. He plays an old army buddy who has a side hustle making fake passports and other paperwork, and they're working together to maybe get him out of town. But then there's this weird the plot with his family, and he's like wants to be accepted by the kid's daughter. Again, it's very Mrs. Doubtfire. That's what I was saying. I was in that movie again. Robin Williams' character is painted as the good guy, and Sally Field is like the mean mom. And it's like, no, it's actually the opposite. But Zach, what do you think of the performances?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Tatum is very good, even though he does not fit the role very good. Like they joke about him having to go to the dentist because he's been eating candy, and he's been eating peanut M&Ms at the toy store by the truckload that he's been stealing. But then he's like showering in the local Toys R Us sink, and he's ripped and has a 6-pack, and it's like, come on, like, who are we watching here? Are we watching Jeffrey Manchester? Are we watching Channing Tatum? But regardless, Tatum's a delight. Like, he goes to like a singles function at one point. He's like walking around in these big goofy clothes. Like, he's funny. He's engaging. Like, the guy's got talent. Like, there's a reason he's been in this long. We were just ragging on Jared Leto in the opening news segment. Like, Tatum is not in that space. Like, my man can carry a movie. He's solid. Dunst is great. Dunst is really great. It's very understated. She's just playing this Midwest mom, but it's really refreshing to watch Dunst not playing a character who's got some like secret weird freak side or something. She's not in a Lars von Trier feature or anything here. Like, she's just playing this like very down to earth mom who sings in the kids choir, like single mother who's struggling. A lot of the side performances are great. I'm with you. I love Stanfield. He's a delight. And I guess I like the way this movie's put together. Like, the set design's a lot of fun. Toys R Us is a great setting to set an odd sort of feature like this, because you get so many opportunities for Tatum to be dressed in something funny, wearing like a Naruto hoodie or like Sonic the Hedgehog sweatpants, you know, and like goofing off in the toy store. Like, that's all a really good time. Like, that all is fantastic. But outside of that, it feels dry, and I think you end up kind of checking your watch and waiting for things to wrap up, because the shoe has to dry. Like, he cannot truly change. He has evaded all of his problems, and the crimes continue to escalate, by the way. Like, there's other things that happen in Act 3 that are even worse. Like, it's very strange, and it's very strange that the movie just seems to sympathize with him so much.
Right. The other thing that's jarring, I think this film is shot well, and it's shot in that very indie style that Cianfrance is known for. His other films are much more serious, like Blue Valentine is kind of heartbreaking. The Place Beyond the Pines with Ryan Gosling. That's like a 2.5-hour film in big sections. Gosling is only in like the first third. Bradley Cooper shows up at one point. That's a very like deep and like challenging film to get through. And this is much more lighthearted, and there's also some seriousness under it. It's more definitely for more mainstream audiences, I think, because the premise is so goofy and funny.
Yeah, it feels like a good movie like your parents would enjoy, right? Like, they'd throw on and be like, yeah, this feels like a movie from 15 years ago that's just like a mid-budget kind of drama comedy that comes out, you know, in the summer, and you just go see it, and it's out for a few weeks, and then it comes to streaming, right? You see the DVD at Walmart. And like, in that way, I think Roofman accomplishes what it's setting out to do. But also, it's just a little dry, right? In that same way, it's lacking a little bit of sauce, needs a little bit of something. And I know Cianfrance has not done a theatrical project in years. The last real credit he's shot is a show called I Know This Much Is True on HBO. It was 6 episodes starring Mark Ruffalo in 2020. So that was 5 years ago. Other than that, he's done some music video stuff, and notably was a producer on Sound of Metal, which is a really cool flick that we covered here on the podcast just a couple years ago. Hopefully he does more, right? Like, I think this is a decent entry back in, like, to making movies again. He took a long break. I hope he gets back into it. But just a different script, I think. Something a little bit more, I don't want to say adventurous, but like a little bit more maybe virtuous. Like a little more straight arrow in what it's trying to tell, because I kind of walked out like, who am I rooting for here? Like, I just was not convinced this guy is like a good guy, and that seems to really be what they're hammering home. Like, he's a good guy who's just in a bad situation. And it's like, dude, he abandoned his family. Like, he commits arson. Like, I don't know, man. Like, he robbed a bunch of places. Like, I don't know. I guess I wasn't spellbound by Roofman. Any other thoughts, recommendations?
I would love to see Cianfrance continuing to make movies. I think he is an interesting filmmaker. He's made 2 pretty good films in the past, so they can't all be hits. But I would love to see him continue to work.
Yeah, me too. Andy, would you recommend Roofman?
I'd say save it for streaming. The first half is pretty fun and exciting with him figuring out how to live inside this Toys R Us and take on a second family. It goes on a little bit too long. It starts to meander in the second half. The performances are pretty strong. Channing Tatum, a bunch of cameos are a lot of fun. Kirsten Dunst is good. A little long, but recommended for streaming.
Yeah, I think it's fine to watch at home. It's not particularly cinematic. You're definitely not losing anything by not going to see it. And there's a lot of cool stuff out right now. So if I was walking to the theater and had money and didn't know what I was going to go see, I might skip Roofman. But it is good. Yeah, it's a great movie to take your mom to. Channing Tatum's a delight. Kirsten Dunst a lot of fun. Like, solid. It's a good movie, but it's not quite a great one. And that's Roofman. But I hope they make more. Shoot, I hope they make more. Also, very curious. Well, I don't want to talk. I can't talk about the end of the movie. We don't do spoilers on this podcast. We got to move on. We have something very exciting to talk about. It seems like it might be a drag, but I swear we're gonna make this awesome. Been thinking about this a lot. Andy, what do we call this segment?
It's time for the death of cinema.